Another day. Thank you so much. And I hope you did some reflections what I talked yesterday. Did some reflection, and so in Buddhism, you are allowed to think, analyze, and ask questions. And if the teacher gets angry if the student asks question, that means this is not very good sign. See, so the teacher has to be very tolerant if the participant asks a question. So maybe we can have some questions at the end, but not now. Then whatever we talked yesterday, I was talking this from the perspective of how we can practice, okay, not just like giving a lecture in the university or colleges. So it is not like this. So I try to put some examples, share some of the experiences, and some stories, and because when we give teaching, then we really have to focus, give the information, correct information about the teaching, plus, and then also try to guide how to practice this, so that there will be some change after a few years. You see, there will be change. So that is why yesterday was quite a big outline, and I hope you will take this in a very positive way. And now today, I thought of like motivation, which is I often use everywhere. Sometimes, and in many cases, we feel. It happened also to me several times, you see. We feel that some problems are so big, and we don't have any sort of energy or techniques or potential, and then we started losing hope. So that is in Buddhism. I think almost all the teachers, they always try to teach the precious human life. And this human life, precious. Why this is precious? But human life has so much potential. I think there's no point to lose hope or to make one's own self going in the wrong way. There's no point, because human life has so much potential. By being born as a human being is a lot of opportunity to do many good things, and try to overcome any type of problem, and try to achieve most brilliant or most wonderful things you can achieve in this life. Of course, there are some stories that some animals are much clever than a human being or like this. I read many stories like this, you see. But after all, there's no comparison. A human being can do many things, and then human intelligence is infinity, and human skill of communication, whether through the body language or through the speech or using all this intelligence, it has so much potential. Therefore, we should feel that I'm so lucky that I'm born as a human being, and it is so important that I have to take all the opportunities. I have to use all my potentials. If you think in this way, and then just try to analyze, is it really true or not? And then this is totally experienced and defined, and this is really true, And then you can also analyze. Sometimes you might feel that this problem is really big, but actually, whether problem is big or not is our perception, how we project. A few days ago, one of my friends gave me a book. On the book he wrote, impossible things are not impossible, but it might take some time more, At the end, it is possible. So impossible things are not impossible because it might take some time more, but after all, it is possible. And this is really true, And Lincoln also, he wrote, if something is possible to one person, and that proves that this is possible to everybody. You see? So, great spiritual teachers, they encountered a lot of struggles, but they overcome. Why? The human life has so much potential. The potential from the human being, we have skill of communicating, we have skill of expressing everything exactly, and we have intelligence to analyze, and we have a skill to discuss, have dialogue, and try to get correct information, and then try to think, again and again, which is good and which is bad for the long run, in the short term, for one's own self, for others, just thinking. And then you will get a full picture that, this is so important, Now I really like to use this potential in a maximum way. Why should we isolate ourselves? Why should we lose our hope? Why should we underestimate? Now this is very important. Why should we underestimate ourselves? We have such a potential. So therefore, when you practice, okay, you might not achieve in 1 day or 1 month. Again, you have to try. His Holiness always said that never give up, never give up. Go on trying, never give up. If this is a good cause, never give up, okay? Yeah. And if this very bad thing, never give up to fight against this bad thing, you see. So this is all possible for us. Mental development, physical development, of course now we have developed material development, especially in Sweden, now there's no shortage. From my view, okay, it's so developed, so developed. In the morning we were hearing that I think one ship can carry something like 9,000 lorries or something like that, isn't it? So developed. So developed, okay? But then we have to go into ourselves, okay? By having this outer development, am I really happy? Am I really totally contented, totally satisfied? Am I really happy with my life? Okay, so the Buddhism teaches us how to develop your mind, okay? How to change your mind. And this is a big thing. This is a really big thing. We are pointing mistakes there, and they made a mistake, and they criticized me, and they did something wrong, and because of this, I'm suffering. Buddhism doesn't teach in this way. This might be some factor, but Buddhism teaches us that you have to check yourself again. There are many other negative factors, but you have to stand up and say that this negative factor will not have any impact to me. I will build inner sort of confidence or wisdom or tolerance so that whatever circumstances around me, I will never be affected by this. So in this way, this is all possible because we are born as a human being. And some animals are quite intelligent, but then they can... I had a little experience with what is this? Dolphin in Red Sea, not very big, quite small. So I try to see, okay, how clever they are. They are clever in their own way, which I can't do. They are really clever. But then if I have to give teaching, okay, like interdependence or compassion and tolerance, and then it's quite difficult. Very difficult. It's very difficult. How can I teach, you see? How can I teach? Of course, I really like to teach.
Do they need your teaching?
I don't know. I don't. Maybe they don't need. But I think everybody has a feeling of suffering and feeling of happiness. So I think they also need. Yeah. Good question. Yeah. So, but the potential is quite limited. Quite limited. Therefore, today we are here to listen a little bit of teaching on Four Noble Truths. And our motivation has to be like, I'm born as a human being, good human life, and I wanted to use this good potential in the best way, so that at the end, my own life will be very meaningful, and then also I can do many nice things for other human beings, other sentient beings. So this has to be the main object. And if we try more, okay, you can aim that I really want to achieve Buddhahood, so that I will be enough wise and compassionate to guide every sentient being according to their capacity or according to their Then I'm going to read a few sentences from here. This is from His Holiness book, Four Noble Truths, and the Four Noble Truths. So here he, at the beginning, this is a little bit introduction, okay? The Four Noble Truths. The Four Noble Truths are the foundation of Buddhist teaching. The foundation of Buddhist teaching, and that is why they are so important. In fact, if you don't understand the Four Noble Truths, and if you have not experienced experience the truth of this teaching, personally, it is impossible to practice Buddha Dharma. Therefore, I'm always very happy to have the opportunity to explain about Four Noble Truths. Why it is the foundation, okay? Why it is the foundation of all the teaching? The whole purpose, okay? Purpose of Buddha's teaching is to achieve something and to solve something, okay? And that is based on us. We wanted to be happy. We really wanted to be happy, and that happiness also has to be trustworthy happiness, okay? Just not a temporary happiness. Those people who are using drugs, okay, they might feel temporarily, they might feel happy, you see. They enter into a completely different world, and at that moment they are really, I think, because I'm dealing with many drug addicts, and they explain how they experience. And especially this year, we are making document film, and then they many of them really want to share how they feel, how they experience when they have drugs in their body. Yes, so that also is a happiness. And then if we become very, very successful in business, also it gives some happiness. And if we accomplish certain sort of intellectual, academic achievement, it will also give some happiness. And then small things like, say, if we have a very nice dinner, also it gives happiness. Especially if we are very hungry, it gives a lot of satisfaction. And then, especially the young people, if they get a really nice cloth, having a very, very good brand, if they wear this, again, they feel a bit happiness, you see, bit happiness. But then, are they all really trustworthy, reliable happiness? Are they really reliable happiness? And even if these are like a temporary happiness, just it comes and then it goes. Just comes and then goes. Come and then go, you see. Then we have to work very hard. We have to work very hard, okay? And this year I have this car, I'm very, very happy. And next year another car comes. Now these days like iPhone, okay? I'm using iPhone 4. That was given by my friend in the United States. They bought iPhone 5, so I got the iPhone 4. Okay. Now this year I go to United States in January. So they promised that they will give me the iPhone 5 and they will jump to the iPhone 6. Okay? And they asked me, do you like to have iPhone 6? Because they really love me. And they also respect me. No. iPhone 5 is more than enough. Okay? Just give me your, because they said they have to throw. And yeah, if you go running after like this, okay, they are very sensible, okay, they are very sensible. According to their job, they need this, okay. They are not running for the happiness, but there are certain people who are running happiness, okay. If they get this, I will be very, very happy. Oh, if I get an iPhone 6, I will be just very happy. But then when they get iPhone 5, 6, and then use, okay. And then slowly iPhone 7 comes. And then again, oh no, iPhone 6 is hopeless again. So in this way, very tiring. And all this happiness will just go and come and go and come and go. It's like dream. And nothing we can develop. Okay. It doesn't develop like a happiness which can stay with us permanently. And it's very tiring. And therefore, many people, they work very hard to get a very good car, very good house, very good, iPhone, okay. And yesterday, was it yesterday? I got an iPad. So, yes, they decided to buy me an iPad, okay. And then they already decided, they went. Because I'm using all the mails in my small iPhone, and it's very bad for my eye. So they noticed this, and then they decided to buy iPad, okay? So still I didn't open. It's in my suitcase. Still I didn't I'm not that sort of excited. No, because I'm not that excited. Of course, it is useful for my job. I can use, of course, I can use this. It is much better for my health. But then I will not be so attached to this because I know that at any time it can be broken or stolen so anything can happen. So therefore, just external due to external development, if we achieve some sort of happiness, of course this is happiness. But I say that this is not the most reliable happiness. Okay? If you really wanted to achieve the most reliable happiness, then that is possible if you use human potential and intelligence. And then use Buddha's teaching. And then analyze by yourself, okay? Don't think that this is Buddha's teaching, it must be good. Don't think in this way. Just try to analyze and bring it to your life. Whether this really brings happiness or not. So in this way, what His Holiness is explaining to us is that Four Noble Truths are the foundation of the Buddha's teaching. And then we really all who label ourselves as a Buddhist, we need to know or we need to understand Four Noble Truth, you see. And that is the foundation. And I have a funny question. What is the meaning of understanding? Very difficult, okay, very difficult. We say, I understood. How did you understood? How much did you understood? What is the meaning of understanding or understand? What is exactly meaning of understanding? When we debate, okay, Buddhist philosophy, we try to establish the standard understanding. If you remove this and don't add any unnecessary thing, and remove all the misunderstanding, and if you just get things exactly how it is, nothing addition, nothing subtraction, okay, and then you can say that you understood. Quite difficult, you see. Drondok chöba means draw. Now, this is quite complicated issue, you see. If I understand, so if I say understand compassion, and there shouldn't be any sort of addition, okay, I have to understand compassion exactly, there should not be any addition, and there shouldn't be any sort of subtraction, you see. So it has to be just come into my mind exactly how it has to be there. Therefore, understanding is a big question. I ask this question, okay? If you say, I have many friends, okay, they say, oh, I understood. And then when I say, and then if you understood, please repeat to me, then they can understand. You see, again. Now, you don't add this, you remove this, and then say it again. Again, there's something addition. Oh, now you miss some point. So you add this, and delete this, and then speak to me. And then finally say, okay, now you really got this into your mind? Yes. Okay, then now I can say that you understood, you see. Otherwise, there's so many unnecessary things we add, and the most important part of the point we miss. Therefore, when we debate, the debate improves the quality of understanding. Yeah. So we have to understand the Four Noble Truth, and I thought that I have little understanding of Four Noble Truth. So now I'm explaining to you according to my understanding. Okay. So now, based on the teaching text, which is written, I don't know, written or text from Metteyya Buddha, okay? The future Buddha, the text. Here he says that Nen Heja, Ned Yuni Panjala, the net of the Menitama Chawada, to make you the Teoba, teaching Heja as a rebel Tamacha. Nen Heja, Ned Yuni Panjala, the net of Ja, Menitama Chawada, to make you them. Teoba, teaching Heja as a rebel Tamacha means first part is putting example. For example, okay, if we are sick, the first important thing is to diagnose the disease. Nene Hyeja. Good doctor, okay? These days are quite difficult. when my mother's hip broke, they give some massage. Oh, terrible. You see? Then they said, okay, we will bring some massage oil which is 3 years old. And then my niece, Somo, she was really excited. Okay, oh, maybe if he brings 3 years oil, my mom was he might improve. And then we came to know that that was not correct. And then we were taking her to the hospital. And he was coming with the 3 years old oil. And my niece was laughing. No, Papa, he's coming with 3 years old oil. So what can we say? What can we say? So she was so excited. And now she's changed her attitude towards him. You see, he did some stupid thing, you see. So to diagnose disease, and then these days, oh, it's so complicated, you see. So complicated to blood test and then CT scan and ultrasound and X-ray and stool test and urine test. So many tests. Then we are totally relying on machines. Yeah, machines are also founded by us. And then because of this result at the end, and then they culture, okay? They culture. And then through this, they tell, okay, now this is the disease. We are not 100% sure. One of my friends in Belgium, the small boy, still he is under investigation. They couldn't tell. But the most important thing is to recognize the exact disease. Okay? This is example. Means then if we recognize this, and then we really need to know that whether this will be able to remove or not. Okay? And then if this is able to remove, then what techniques we have to use? Or now in the example, medicine. What exact medicine we can use, okay? And after that, okay, after this, and then what we achieve is we will be free from this disease. So in the same way, we are suffering, okay? We are suffering through 3 different types of sufferings, okay? Suffering of change, suffering of pervasive. So we are suffering through these 3 different types of suffering. So first important for us is we really have to recognize we are really suffering. There are so many people who really don't think that we are suffering. See? Now, just we have to recognize what we are suffering. As I told you, all this I told you, okay? So through this, we have to really try to experience what he's saying is trying to experience with understanding, trying to experience that we really are suffering. Mental suffering, physical suffering, emotional suffering, and suffering caused by outer factor, suffering caused by inner factor. And so there are so many factors which now we are making so much noise like it. Oh no, airs are polluted, so we will have big problem. And we are helping to very remote village to reduce smoke in the house. We are thinking that that is the only source of their lung problem and their eye problem. So if we release all the smoke out, and they will have no lung problem, no eye problem. But that is our solution, you see. Of course, it will minimize. In the same way, we recognize our suffering and then try to see and experience it. Oh, and that is Noble Truth, truth of suffering. Okay? And then, slowly, now this example is to recognize the disease. Okay? And then, how to remove this? How to remove this and try to find a medicine. Okay? How to remove this and whether it's removable or not, and then we go to the causes, causes of suffering and origin of suffering. So then, when you go to search where it is really coming from, then it was so deep, and then there are so many destructive emotions, hatred, anger, desire, greed, and then the self-attachment and ignorance, all this. Okay, these are the main factors we find. And then we try to take medicine. Then medicine is Buddha's teaching. Okay, Buddha's teaching. If we study this, understand this, contemplate this, and then get experience. If we practice, you get experience. Okay, and just by simply listening, you get a slight experience, but not all. You see, and therefore this text says that many you means dunge is suffering. You means the sources of the suffering. Take means whether this is possible to remove or not. Okay? And then if it's possible, what method, what technique, okay, what mind we have to develop or use. Okay? And then we have to remove something and we have to achieve something, and then we will achieve happiness which is permanent. Okay? Whether you call this as a cessation, or whether you call this as a nirvana, or if you say from higher level to Buddhahood, whatever you say, and this will remain forever. Okay. So therefore, Four Noble Truth is the foundation, and Buddha gave this teaching as a first teaching. Okay, first teaching is a very important first teaching to his disciple, mainly five disciples, and then of course there were many disciples. Direct disciple was 5, and suffering we all know, isn't it? First truth, I think I don't have to explain, isn't it? Suffering, truth of suffering. Truth of suffering. What do you think? Do I need to explain? Suffering of suffering is easy. But suffering of change is also quite easy. But pervasive suffering is a little bit difficult. Suffering, pervasive suffering. In Tibetan we say Chabatujitunga. This is a little bit, I will explain, this is a little bit more. And the suffering of suffering is easy, like stomach pain, headache, eye problem. I'm starting having eye problem, okay? And stomach problem, and all this disease. These days there are many terrible sort of disease. And some of the disease, I think, still there's no remedy, you see. And one of our best friend, in England, he is suffering prostate cancer, and he was very late to diagnose, and now it was too late, and it's already spread, you see, and now he's just counting, okay, day. Last year he came to Stockholm to meet me, and one meeting was with him and his wife, and last meeting was just exclusive meeting between me and him, and how to go to the next life. Not easy, because we have been friends since 1997, we worked together for many projects, and we love each other. And for me, it's also not easy, and for him. And then at that time, doctor told that his life is about 15 to 18 months. And of course, his wife also was very emotional when I met. she was more emotional than him. And he has 2 children, they are also very sad. And so he has this pain of prostate cancer. Now these days he has a more sort of severe pain, you see. I think he's getting treatment, which is in whole world, I think getting this treatment is only 20% people. But then when he started getting this, and then his medicine was contaminated. So our life is quite fragile and quite, what you say, sensitive and fragile. Okay, yeah, very fragile. And so, of course, now he crossed more than 15 and 18 months. Now, almost like he's now going more than 24 months, more than 25 months, because of this treatment. But then doctors, they didn't give any sort of guarantee that you will not die. They didn't give any guarantee. After all, you have to go. But actually, we all have to go, isn't it? But we are thinking that we will remain centuries and centuries. So no problem. We can go tomorrow, and we can do tomorrow, and like this. So like this, and then I have a very sad story in Nepal. There was a young lady who was carrying HIV, and then also she was taking drug. And because of this, her body was very, very weak. Of course, you know this, her immune system really goes very bad. And then she was caught by police and imprisoned. And she delivered a baby girl, and she was also HIV. And she was not accepted by the family, because they really don't know anything about HIV. They only know that this is a really dreadful disease and it can spread like this, okay? And this tiny girl who was there and mother in prison. And so we took her to a school, missionary school, and they admitted. And what happened to this young girl? She stayed in the prison. We went to meet her 3 times or 4 times, okay, to talk with her. And we said, okay, yeah, you have experience of drug, you also experience HIV, and you also had experience in prison. And so now we want to technically, we want to take you out, and we want to give you a very good training so that you will be able to give some talks to the people who are almost going into this sort of direction. But she didn't say yes to us. She didn't say yes to us. But I think she might have thought that if she has to go to rehab center, she will suffer a lot, maybe, okay? And it prolonged until she says, yes, we can't take her out. And then 1 year went, almost like 2nd year entering, and then she was throwing everything, okay? If she eats something, it goes directly. Nothing really digests. And then she was released from the prison and put it in a hospital. And hospitals are not so good, not so compassionate, not so wise. And we appealed that she should be moved to a better hospital. And then just before moving to the better hospital, and she died. So now these days, in a way, we say that we developed a lot and we are more healthy. But in another way, I don't know whether we become healthier or not. It's quite difficult, you see. Even we take medicine, it's so scary. To take medicine, or we have to read, okay, oh, this medicine is good, this, then so many side effects. So many side effects, you see. And I was taking antibiotic before coming here, because I was catch cold. And now I have to go to Sweden. And then I took quite a strong sort of antibiotic, 3 days course. And because I really felt that it was not at all good, you see. Oh, that was really very, very bad, you see. So in this way, I'm talking about the suffering of suffering, okay? Yeah, many of you are aware and you also know, but then just telling this sometimes, okay, we connect that, okay, this is the suffering of suffering. As soon as arises us, as soon as this arises in us, it arises in us as a suffering. That is called suffering of suffering. Okay? Headaches, stomach pain, and all these are suffering of suffering. I think we all either suffered or suffering or will suffer. Okay? It's not only one time we suffered and it's gone. No. We suffered quite a lot. Maybe we are also suffering. And then also in the future, I think we will suffer. Almost like it is like this, you see. And then thinking like this, then, oh, this is not so pleasant, you see. This is not so pleasant. If there's a way, I really want to go out. You see? And then suffering of change. Suffering of change is, in the beginning, it looks like happiness. Okay? I was a little worried when we made this momo. Momo is a Tibetan food, you know, I think it's a dumpling. We made one momo with meat and onion, one momo with pure vegetarian. Okay, we made two momo. And of course the shapes were completely, there's no momo which looks each other like, because these are all made by the trainees. So some are big, some are not so big, some are very thick, and some are thin, and so it was like this. And then they steamed. I didn't check how much they cooked. So, and then I was a bit worried, you see. And Swedish stomach is quite sensitive. And especially when it comes to Nepal, they are very sensitive. They have to, very, very sensitive when they come to Dharamsala. Very sensitive, Swedish stomach, very sensitive. So I thought, okay, now this momo, this will be in the newspaper, you see. This is in the Facebook. So if something happens, okay, something happens, not properly cooked, or something happens, okay, then this people also in the newspaper, you see. So I was not worried about newspaper, but I was worried, okay, maybe some of them may have some stomach problem. I think I didn't hear. I think it was okay. And the last piece of momo was eaten just yesterday, I think. Yesterday. I think almost 1 week ago we made. So last piece. So there was remaining. So they took everywhere to share, to experience. So even, okay, we make that as this momo. We made this to give happiness. Pleasure came. Wow, this is so good. Okay, so good. I enjoyed. I was so happy that I really tasted Tibetan momo made by a monk. Okay, so it was good. So this happiness. But if it changes into a problem, and then that is called suffering of change. Suffering of change. So there are many examples. Okay. Now, drugs are also this. Alcohol is like this. In the beginning, it is quite, especially people who are having problem. They try to escape by taking some drug, and they become happy. But then when they are wake up from there, and then slowly it can bring a lot of problems. You see, all these feelings. Okay, suffering means it has to be feeling. Okay, so these are the suffering of change. In the beginning, looks like a happiness, and this happiness is defined as a contaminated happiness. Okay, happiness has two different types: uncontaminated happiness and contaminated happiness. So these are contaminated happiness. Therefore, it ends with some sort of suffering. Always ends with some sort of suffering. Some stays a little bit longer happy, and then end with this suffering. Some gives a little bit of happiness, immediately it changes into suffering. So these are called suffering of change. And this is also suffering. That is no problem, isn't it? So what do we have to do to not to experience suffering of change? We really don't like to experience the suffering of suffering. That is, I think, we all know. But we are a little bit confused with the suffering of change. That we have to be really careful. Yeah. We went a little bit too fast. How long we can go?
It's good if we can take a break about 20 minutes like yesterday, but we will take pause for lunch, 1 o'clock. So maybe
11:30.
we can about, or 20 minutes more, quarter past.
11:15.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can take a break for
Yeah,
20
yeah, okay.
minutes. Yeah.
I think Parvesi will go after the break. Parvesi will go after the break. I think so. Yeah. So is there any other suffering of change which I don't know and you know? Actually, I've never tasted wine. Okay, never tasted wine. So I don't have any experience. But I just talk with them how they experience and how they feel, and I talk a lot because I've been dealing with the alcoholic quite a lot. Yeah, but I myself has no experience of wine, especially drunk. Oh, no experience. And then smoke. I feel strange, you see. This is smoke, breathing smoke, or taking in smoke. Isn't it? Because I don't have any experience, you see. And those people who have experienced, they say that after taking like several years, and then to say goodbye is very difficult. Very, very difficult. You see. I don't know. It also causes suffering of change, isn't it? There are so many problems with the lung, and because of the smoke, and it can cause quite a lot of problem. And so, some other examples? Yeah.
But also detaching yourself from cigarettes, for example,
Yeah.
is also change, but it's a positive
Change,
effect. in
yes.
it.
Positive change.
So this is also suffering, but it's something
During that process, okay, during that process of changing, and then you are experiencing
Yes,
suffering. Yeah.
exactly. But it leads to something good.
Yeah, but slowly,
It's suffering.
removing the suffering, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, by removing the suffering by using some techniques, and then slowly it changes into better.
Okay.
See? Now, suffering of change or any suffering is not permanent, you see. It's a suffering, but it's not permanent. Yeah. Therefore, it is changeable. If it is permanent, then we can't change, you see. Yeah.
I think that's one of the main problems today, that we tend to see everything as in the now and not in the long term,
Yeah.
like you said.
Mhm.
So that's why we do things even though we know they're bad for us.
Yeah.
We just
Short term is.
yes.
Yeah.
I think another suffering of change is to change your country, to go and live in another country.
Mhm.
Also, if you want to,
Yeah.
it's a very big suffering, really.
Yeah, I think so. Now, some of my friends, they were thinking that if they are able to go to Europe or to America, they think that they will be very, very, very happy. Okay? It brings certain sort of happiness, you see. And then in the beginning, they have encountered quite a lot of problems, you see. Sometimes, they encounter quite a lot of problems. Of course, slowly, and then if they get a legal paper, And then, of course, their life is much better. And just recently, a Tibetan young man who was helping me to make momo, I asked him, he visited Tibet, because now he has a Swedish passport, and he visited Tibet. And then I asked, okay, what is your experience? Being here, I think something like 11 years or something. And then now he went to meet his parents. And he was born in Tibet. And I think he was 14, 15 years, then he came to as a refugee, you see. So I talked with him. We were making momo, and I talked, what is your experience, or what is your experience? And then he said, oh yes, compared to our life in Tibet, and here is much more sort of facilities, and houses and clothes and food and everything is much better. And he was very sharp. He said, if we really know how to enjoy, yes, the life can be very happy. If we really don't know how to enjoy it, and then life can be very complicated, he said. Maybe it's true, isn't it? Yeah. And just I told you that human mind has so much potential, you see. The outer factors are not the ultimate thing, you see. The human mind can change certain sort of problem even to happiness, you see. And happiness also to be more happy. So his answer was very good. His answer was very good. And then he explained about his mother, same as my mother. She was so calm, so relaxed, and then they were also like quite a poor family, but he explained to me. And then he also explained about the old people in Sweden. And then he compared. You see? So mind, if we train mind to be able to achieve happiness, it will really give real happiness. Yeah? If you don't train our mind, but entertain from material things, it can give certain sort of happiness, but it is not the reliable sort of happiness, you see. Therefore, Buddhism is really focusing to train mind. Suffering, whether it's a suffering or suffering of change, this all depend upon how we train the mind. Yeah. To overcome suffering permanently, the ultimate solution is to train the mind. Yeah. Any other good example about suffering of change? Yeah? Going for trekking.
Yeah, exactly. It ends.
What?
It ends.
Yeah.
I was thinking about missing something. It's also suffering of change.
Yeah.
You have it and then it disappears.
Yes.
And that is also suffering.
Yeah. This suffering is caused by
Desire.
desire. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. Yes. Losing something.
Yeah.
It was so painful that we were in Buddha, which is a holy place where Buddha achieved enlightenment. And we were sleeping in a big dormitory, like double-deckers. And I was sleeping on one of the double-decker, and underneath there was a man who came to Buddha Gaya, and because his sweet wife passed away few days ago or like this. And then we were sleeping on the top, and I was listening. And he was telling to all his friends, whoever comes to meet him, and he was telling. And then I started like wanted to cry, because he missed his wife a lot. Zao Yuling drove David Nagarjuna says, okay, Zao is like a husband or wife. If they stay together, and in a nice way, happy, okay? And during that time, they also experience happiness. But when they separate, okay, through the death, and that not comparable to the happiness they achieved. And I was reciting this, and then I was listening every evening. He was telling, and there are so many people coming to say some nice, oh, please don't worry, and we are here, and you have taken care of your children, and you are nothing, and then you do offering and prayer for her, departed soul, and all these things, all that I'm talking. And then he was telling, oh, his experience. Okay, we went there, and we went enjoy, and we went there, and then and then the marriage ceremony, and then he was telling all this hanging, totally not detached. I'm missing a lot. Yes. So I think these types of things. Yeah. Now I'm really preparing how to depart me and my mother. You see, I'm so worried. If some accident happens to me, if I die before my mother, there is much more worry. And she will almost like collapse, you see. So I'm also thinking that, I have to stay a little bit longer than her. Okay? And then she has to go a little faster, so that both of us will be happier, you see. Actually, of course, this is like planning. And then I'm thinking, okay, if she dies, then will I miss? Yes, I will miss. But then I have to train my mind. Yes. And we talk. Me and my mother talk. And she was 100% determined that she really wanted to go before me. And she don't want to see me dying before her. Oh, this is so strong. And I understand this. And I think I prepare, and she also prepared. We are preparing. We are talking, and of course we are now preparing that if she passes away, the only obligation to me is that when she's passing away, on the process of dying, I have to be there. Just I have to be there to guide her on her dying process. We guide her, and she will see me that, oh, now my son is just next to me. And then I think she will go very nicely. And I will be also feel very, very good, you see. So, 67 years old. She has been my mother for 67 years. And of course I will miss. When I come back to home, I look to where she sits. Of course I will miss, but I'm really preparing that the feeling of miss will be less. And now we are deciding, so when I'm going to somewhere, she asks, where are you going? And I'm going to Sweden. Oh, so where is Sweden? Sweden is very, very far. Then she worries. Why do you have to go all the time like this? Okay, you are staying only 30% and 70% you go. What is this? And she was a bit worried. And I said, now you are praying. My mother is praying that my son will be very successful in fulfilling the wishes of Dalai Lama. And my son will be very useful for every sentient being who needs his help. And I said, okay, you are praying this, and I have to do something. To do this, I have to tell. Oh, she said, yes, okay. Then, I think in this way we prepare, to detach each other so that I will not miss so strong as any other people, like this husband. And of course, love her, but then we really get ourselves to be detached. So this miss, the suffering of miss, is also very, very bad, very bad. And then they started to feel lonely. There are many, husband died, and then old lady left, feel very lonely, and all the time in the chair, and then doing like this, and then lunch comes, and then lunch eat, and then check, and then like this, okay, whole day. Oh, this is very, very scary. We have to guide to have less problem of suffering of change. Enjoy it having together, and then departing is not pleasant. And after departing, it can continue quite a long sort of suffering. And all these are suffering of change. due to attachment. Due to attachment. Yeah. Very good example. We all encounter this. Any other subtle level of suffering of change? Changing our body, what do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking of dying, more the feelings around it. And because I'm old and I have many friends that are my age,
Yeah.
and the death is really something that you, even if you're not really sick, many of us are afraid.
Yeah.
So that's also suffering.
Yeah, yes. So now we enjoy the youth, okay? We enjoy the young. When we are young, okay, we really enjoy it. And slowly, this youthfulness, okay? And then it goes slowly down. And then I think our faces also changes, our body changes, our appetite changes, and our whole structure, okay, body changes, and the feeling towards the family also changes, and feeling towards other friend also changes, you see. And then, yes, I was playing. I'm playing a lot with this. My mother's. It's really like more like this. I play with her, and she laughed, and then I count her fingers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I take this mirror and then count my fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so it is not so easy. It's not so easy. Yeah? Changing very small, fresh person to young, youthful, and then going down and changing. Then at the end it's like a very old, not much sort of, when they listen, like this, and I said, oh, what is this, and like this, and then, there are so many things which are not very good. Yes, yes, this is, itself is difficult. And then death, of course, very bad, but it is not so related with the suffering of change. But our life in the family, and youth life, slowly changing into grown, and then slowly changing, declining, is related with the change, suffering of change. And so why it happened like this? Why? If it is fresh, nice, why it can't remain like this, you see? Was it yesterday or I don't know where? I was talking about the face lift. Lift, okay. One of my very good doctor in Miami, he's this surgeon, okay. He's a very good doctor, dental doctor, plus he's a plastic surgeon, very good, okay. And so he also removes quite a lot of suffering by this thing. And then I asked him, so can you lift this hanging like this, can you lift? So he said it is possible. But then he has to lift everything. Everything it will be very, very expensive. You see. It is impossible. Better to hide. Instead of lifting, he said better to hide. This we can't hide, you see. This we have to show. So this we lift, remaining we just cover. But still it's hanging like this. In Buddhism we talk this way. We talk, we teach. We talk about a lot about old age, okay? Unavoidable. we try to avoid, isn't it? I saw this, okay, with my, we have to, when we meet some old friends, oh, you look so fit, I have to say this. If you're not so fit, then you look very good, okay? Not too much. If I do too much, then they will not believe me, you see. So I have to say they will true, you see. Because if I say, oh, you become so old, that gives a teaching of suffering of change, you see. Oh, I'm changed, I was young. If I say, okay, last year you were very good, this year you are so terrible, you are so look old, that this gives a teaching of change, suffering of change, you see, in a more naked way. So, yeah, just think, okay, just think, and how you see. And now Buddha's teaching, okay, Buddha was teaching that where these are coming from, okay, why we get old, why all the happiness changes, okay, why we get old. Scientifically, they have their own answer, you see. Scientifically, they have their own answer. And that answer is, I think, it's not enough. It's not enough. It can go beyond this, you see, beyond this. Therefore, I think to understand fundamental truth, and in real life, and to accept, and to search, okay, next, afterwards, okay, I will try not to